Let's go.
Here we are today, ready to rock and roll with my good friend, Jay Cannone. Jay, great to have you today.
Hi, Gaetano. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for having me again.
So I was thinking this would be a great idea to get together on just a quick market update and share what's going on. What are you seeing? But before that, I was thinking, who's going to listen? And I thought, you're probably going to get some family, some friends, maybe some past clients. So before we dive into what we're seeing in the market and what's going on with clients, both on the buy side and the sell side, I would love to just know, hey, what's going on personally with Jay Cannone? What's going on with the family? Okay. And we could start with maybe, I know we had some trips recently with the kids.
We did.
Kyle went to
Poland.
Yep.
Actually, first he landed in England.
Yep.
Spent a couple days there. Then he went to Berlin. Spent a few days there. He loved Berlin.
Yep.
And then he ended up going over to Poland for about a week and even took a day trip to Auschwitz.
No way.
So it was very moving, extremely.
He enjoyed that day trip?
He enjoyed it immensely, yeah. He had a 7-hour tour.
I can imagine what it feels like being there, yeah, like goosebumps.
He said it was overwhelming.
Wow.
Very, very heavy.
Would you go?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yep. All right, so he was there.
I'm not a big tour kind of a guy, you know. I'm more of a laying on a beach kind of a person, or maybe getting on a boat and just doing some fishing, but yeah.
I just talked to someone and I said the worst trip I can imagine is just going to a beach and laying there. My parents love that, but I would be like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Water sports, I enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. A boat trip's fun.
Yeah, very cool.
That's good. Nicole's going to Spain in a couple weeks.
Yeah, she's going to Spain for her. I guess she went last year. They enjoyed it so much they want to go again.
They're going back?
They're going back, yeah. And first she's going, I think, to Nashville next week for a long weekend. And then they're coming back. She's coming back with her girlfriend, and then they're going to be going off to Spain.
She loves Nashville, and you do too, right?
She went to school there for 4 years. Stephanie and I would visit twice a year. We love it there. It's wonderful. It's a great town.
A lot of action there.
Gotta love music, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big country guy, and I've been going there for work a little bit.
But the nice thing about that is you don't have to be a country guy. You can walk down the street.
Yes.
And you just listen to whatever music's coming out of the bar. You hear a song you like, you just go into the bar and listen to the music.
You're spot on.
Oh, it's awesome.
Some good restaurants there. It's a cool city.
It's a great city. It's a lot of fun. You got to be there. You got to go if you've never been there. You know?
100%. It's kind of like a Las Vegas type thing, but a little more mellow.
It's great. It's
fantastic.
A lot of fun.
And her business is rock and rolling, it looks like.
My daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She went to school for business management, but she also, recorded music when she was out there. She wrote songs and made some great contacts, and she's been producing out there in Nashville.
Yep. Heck yeah. And Cross just had a big birthday, 27.
Man, 27 years old.
Oh, my gosh. I saw a photo of him the other day. It was a wrestling pic he put up, but, it sounds like he's rocking and rolling.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Love it.
Yeah, he's doing great.
And then Mom.
Mom's not. My mom's sick.
Yeah.
Like I told you, she had colon cancer.
Yep.
And she was trying to recover, but she's having a lot of setbacks. And she's still in the hospital. She's been there for about a month and a half, and we're trying to pull her through it.
We'll keep her in prayers, definitely.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah.
So that's anything for you and Mrs. Cannone, for Steph?
No, we're just funding.
Yeah.
We're working hard to fund their habits.
I love it. So you've got a couple people.
I'm just really busy right now in real estate. I don't really have the time to take off and just, I have to make the time because I don't want to get burnt out. But people are calling me. It's really busy right now.
Last night, you just listed a house?
Yeah, last night, yeah. I listed the house right next door, and we sold it. And then their neighbor called me and asked me to come over last night and list their house. So I put their house on the market.
That was Main Street in Trumbull?
That was Main Street in Trumbull, yeah.
And then you're going somewhere after this?
And then after this, I've got to put an Orono condo on the market today as well.
Unbelievable. So rocking and rolling.
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we're busy.
So we'll start with some market updates on really just what we're seeing. Market updates and really some clients you've helped. And I'd love to start with, recent clients. Maybe if you have a story of a client you helped, maybe some challenges they faced, how you were able to help solve those. I wrote down a note of Mrs. Haba.
Yeah, that was a recent story where I got a telephone call from her son, who had been trying to get his mom out of her house for over 60 years. Now here's like an 88-year-old woman who's been in her house for 60 years, and she's on a walker. And she's living in a split-level home. I mean, every time she would try to make her way up or down a staircase, it was like you're holding your breath, hoping to God she wouldn't fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely time for her to go. But these older people, man, I mean, they're so deeply rooted in their homes, and the thought of just packing up, and taking all their belongings and getting rid of certain things because they know that they can't take everything in a 3,000 square foot house. Just the thought of that stuff is just daunting for these people.
Yeah.
They become paralyzed. But one thing that I've become over the years is I've become a really good listener, man. I just listen to people, what they really need and what they want, and I knew that I had to deal. I had to handle this situation a little bit differently. It had to be handled with very, very softly, more passionate. Really understand her needs, because she was an elderly lady and she was really nervous about it.
Were you working directly with her or her son?
I was working with both. I was working with everybody. I mean, I was working directly with her son and her. I mean, I wanted her to be a big part of this.
Yeah.
She needed to be.
So she was there mentally. She was fully there.
Oh, she was very, very there. I mean, she was very. But the only thing is, her walking was a little bit,
that was the only
impaired.
Wow.
But her mind, she was sharp as a tack. She was a wonderful person.
From the start, like when you first met her, was she paralyzed, overwhelmed, like didn't know where to go, where to start with?
No, I mean, she knew exactly where to go, but she was very overwhelmed. She knew she had to make this move, but she just maybe people think they just don't ever want to leave their house.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to be carried out of there, but the kids don't want that.
Yeah.
They realize
especially
that
dangerous.
They're just nervous. They don't understand that. The one thing that I really enjoyed seeing is, I mean, number one is that it took me to get all of my resources and my network together to help facilitate this move. Her son lived in Massachusetts. She really didn't have, and her daughter was here, but we needed to coordinate. We had to get, like, for example, the consignment people, my consignment people, to come over there. And we had to go through all of her belongings. I had to get my junk loggers. I had to get my painters, the hardwood floor guys, the roof cleaners, the power washers, all of my painters, all of my network had to come together. And we had to help this woman make it as stress-free as possible. But on the other hand, you also have to learn to work with these people in a compassionate way. Understand that they're under a lot of stress. And seeing things in their house that they've stared at for 60 years being moved is stressful for people. So you got to have, number one, I have to use the people that have the compassion, that understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
Even though they're junk luggers, they're still compassionate and understand that this is a difficult thing for them. They're not just walking over and starting to grab things and just chuck them into a dumpster.
Yeah.
That can't happen, man.
Yeah.
You got to be compassionate with these people and let them be a part of it. I was having them take pictures of certain things, before they were tossed. So she'd always have the memory, even if it was in a picture.
It's a good idea. Taking a photo.
Yeah, it's a memory. It's a memory. You may not have the physical item, but you'll always have the photo of it.
I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because with everything in life, they look at it's a big monumental task of clearing everything out. But you're able to go in and kind of just, take bite-sized chunks and one step at a time.
Yes, you have to.
And there's also an order to that process,
Correct.
Kind of like building a home. You're not going to sheetrock before you frame.
I always tell people is you take little steps.
Yeah.
Little steps. If you look at the whole process as a whole, it can become very overwhelming. But you take little steps and you'll get to that end result.
Yeah.
Little steps.
You said something that I liked about being a good listener.
Yes, you have to.
How's that changed from when you first got started in the business?
When I was a young guy,
Yeah.
I was a sales guy, man.
Yeah.
I was running gun.
Yeah.
I was selling. I was selling.
Yeah.
And as you get a little bit older, you kind of mellow a little bit and you listen to people a little bit more now. I guess as life is, played out in my life, as things have happened in my life, you become more compassionate towards other people and things that have happened in their lives. You just understand that, everybody has their challenges, everybody has their successes.
Yeah.
Their happy times, their sad times, and also understand that everybody's moving for a different reason. Some people don't want to move. Some people are being forced to move, and some people need to move, and some people want it. So you just have to understand and listen to what people are saying to you, and understand why they're doing what they're doing. And once you know their why, then you can help them. You can really help them.
Yeah. You do a good job of listening. Has that just been from life experiences?
It has. I would say yes, it has.
Yeah.
Because people have listened to me, and I know how much that has helped me. And It's just, again, that just comes through years of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, compassion, understanding, awesome. But you have a passion for the business.
I've always had a passion like others do not have. I've always been very passionate about this business.
Mm-hmm.
I was also going to say that I find that every client is uniquely special. And I've always had that passion that is very hard to find in this business these days. Mm-hmm. Very hard to find. And I've always had that fire inside of me, that passion to help people. I don't know, maybe it was watching my dad as a boy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just people who have always come up to me all my life and said, hey, your dad helped me when I was, buying my first house, or your father helped me out of a jam, or your father helped me out of a foreclosure, or your father, whatever it was. But I've always had that passion ever since I was a small boy to help people get out of or into whatever situations they wanted to,
Every person's definitely unique. They have their own challenges, there's opportunities to help them.
But now you got to remember that. That's so important to remember that everybody is, it's not just selling a house. It's dealing with somebody's biggest financial decision of their life. And for them, it's, moving is it's not for the faint of heart, man. It's a very inconvenient and it's a difficult thing to do, preparing your house for sale, putting it on the market, the inconvenience of showings, and all the stress and pressure that go along with it, especially with the other house you have to move into. There's just a lot involved, And it's my job just to help guide these people through it all, as seamless and as stress-free as possible. That's what I try to do now.
I love that. So, we've brought on a few new guys. Team's pretty young, got 3-4 new sales guys.
Right.
And the one thing I tell them all is not about the dollars and the deals and closing transactions. I mean, that'll come. That will happen. That's part of the business. That's where you make money. That's why it's lucrative and why you want to be in the business. But if you think of growing up, I grew up in the same house for 26 years. Now, my dad was in the business, but for someone else, would have financed that. So you're creating memories for someone.
Correct.
And then also over a 30, 40-year time horizon, like you said, this is one of the largest financial transactions. You're actually creating a large amount of wealth, and usually people's retirement, or a large portion of their retirement, will be tied into the house that we're financing. So it's more than just like for us to make money. It's like we're setting someone up for years of financial gain and memories that they're going to make in the house
100%.
too. Which then is a relationship you have, which is more important than the money. And money follows relationships. If people trust you, you'll be able to do well in life. That's how I view it.
You hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
And that was saying that it's not about the money. And when you take the money factor out of anything that you're doing in your career, that's when you're genuinely helping people.
Yeah.
And the rest will take care of itself. But don't put the money factor into whatever you do. It's not about the money. It's about helping people. And then once you worry about helping people, the rest will all fall into place. It was great. You're spot on with that.
Part of it too, I think, the reason I thought like that is, and I was having this conversation with a friend last night, is not enough people take a long-term, their time horizon isn't long enough. So most people think week to week, month to month, and they're thinking about what they want to buy right now, their wants, and maybe even their needs. But if you're able to, I don't know if extrapolate's the right word. It feels like it is, but I don't know if the vocab is there. But if you're able to take your time horizon out 5, 10, 15, 20 years, one relationship that you have now by helping somebody, you don't know where that will go in 5, 10 years, who they talk to, who they know, and the impact you'll have on them as well.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
I know it's huge.
Yeah. I mean, you've been doing this 30 plus years.
It's very important.
In regards to,
that's maturity, Gaetano. That's maturity. When you can actually, plan yourself out 10 or 15, 20 years. I mean, let's face it, man. When I started selling real estate at the ripe age of 19, man, I wasn't looking to when I was going to be 50 years old. I was looking next week.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning for the future. So that's a very mature statement, and that's a very mature way of looking at it.
Thank you. In regards to process, of identifying opportunities and creating customized results for clients, that's big on listening, right? Like, is that the biggest thing you'd say of how do you help clients kind of identify opportunities for them to, purchase a new home or sell a home?
And again, that is listening to their wants and their needs, and finding out exactly what their goal is, what their long-term goals are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to sell somebody or try to push on them or not. You're not going to show somebody a 1-bedroom condo when you know that they're going to, have 2 babies over the next few years.
Yeah.
You want to help them, just guide them to where they need to be.
Let's put a plan in place. Okay.
Yeah, put a plan in place.
If you had advice, I want to talk with both buyers and sellers in today's market. What advice would you have? Let's start with buyers, and then we'll go to sellers. In today's market, it's a very competitive market. Supply is low in Connecticut. Demand's still pretty high, even though interest rates are in the 7-ish% range as of today. What would you tell buyers? Hey, if you want to get serious about buying, here's what you need to do.
All right, so I would say that if you're working with a buyer, you've got to your buyers have to explore their options.
And when you say options, what do you mean by that? What's the biggest thing that people should be thinking about when they're buying a home? One is probably what we just talked about. You need to think 3, 5, 10 years down the road. How big is your family going to be? Or where might you be as a school system, right? The right school fit.
Right.
But what about in regards to land, size of land, backyard, square footage of the house, anything like that people usually think about?
I mean, people usually think about all those things. When they come to me, and they're usually very specific on what they're looking for. They've done their homework, and I think that's very important to do your homework.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to exploring your options. Yeah, when you're exploring your options, you're knowing what the current real estate market's all about right now too. Just do your homework.
Yeah, I feel like before people even reach out to you, they probably already have been looking a little bit.
Yeah,
they know that it's time that they're going to make a move.
Agreed. Agreed.
When they reach out to you, one of the things that you like to talk about is getting financing lined up.
Of course.
It's important.
Well, that's number one. I mean, that's very, very important, especially in a competitive real estate market that we're in. We are getting multiple offers on real estate properties, so people are looking for the best offers.
Yeah.
It's very important to get pre-approved, and that's a lot different than getting pre-qualified. People can say they're pre-qualified, but I'll take those offers and I'll pretty much throw them into the trash can. Because a pre-approval is just picking up a pre-qualification is picking up the telephone, calling a lender and saying, hey, I make $300,000 a year. I've got, $30,000 to put down. I've got 700 credit. And based on that, what can you lend me? But when you go and get pre-approved, your lender's going to sit you down and say, okay, I want to see your last 2 years bank statements. I want to see your last 2 years tax returns, your last 3 months bank statements. I'm going to pull your credit. I want to verify your income and your assets. Really get a good picture of their financial situation. And based on that, give you a pre-approval. And that's like money. When you're going in, to present your offer and you've got a pre-approval, especially from some of these reputable lenders that I deal with, they're good as gold.
Much stronger.
Much stronger.
And also what I find, the pre-qualification is more of a quick phone call. A pre-approval, there's education around that. We're talking about what your ideal monthly payment's going to be. Where are you comfortable paying? What's your max? What can you stretch it to? You never want a client to end up being house poor that's buying a home. So that's one thing.
I always tell my folks too, I say, make sure you've done your homework. Make sure before you purchase, because it's a major investment, make sure you've got reserves. Make sure you've got money in the bank after you close on your house, because God forbid your furnace blows or your septic system or something happens to your house. You're going to have to come up with thousands and thousands of dollars. You should have some reserve money left over. You should also make sure that your job is guaranteed and you're looking at, you've got good job stability and you feel as though you're going to be at your job for a while and you're not going to be laid off and, then you're going to be in trouble. So do your homework and just make sure you're in a good position to buy.
I think that's spot on. We talk about ideal payment. We talk about purchase price you should be looking in based off what you want your payment to be, which is how comfortable are you to make that payment each month, like you said, based off of your total income and stability of income moving forward.
Right.
And then we talk about down payment options and closing costs. So how much are you going to need? All included.
You don't want to be cash poor too at the end of this. You want to be cash poor. You want to be able to live. You want to be able to go on a little vacation every now and then. Come on, man. You don't want to just take every dime you got just to pay your mortgage. I mean, you want to enjoy life a little bit too, you know, and
get pre-approved.
Get pre-approved and buy sensibly.
Yep.
Yeah.
In this market too, once you're pre-approved and you start looking at homes, timelines are quicker in this market.
You've got to be able to act. You've got to be prepared to act fast, especially in a market like today when good properties are going in hours and not days. So you've got to be working with a very aggressive real estate broker who's very knowledgeable about the real estate market and has dealt with these scenarios and situations many, many, many times and knows how to put your offer on the top of the pile to get your offer accepted, something I've done time and time again with my home buyers.
Part of that is relationships you have with other brokers.
100%.
What I find as a lender is if I have a friend that has a listing, I can call them up and say, hey, where do we need to roughly be here? What's going to get the deal done? Somewhere in that ballpark. And I think if you're an agent working with other agents, you work with them even more.
I do.
Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, Jay Cannone, I want to work with them.
Happens quite a bit.
And then they're going to do...
And again, I'm not bragging about it. It's just based on the way I conduct my business. And people understand that when they deal with me, it's a no-nonsense situation. They know the deal's going to close. Mm-hmm. They know I'm working with a buyer that's been pre-approved or has the proof of funds if they're paying cash, but they know that my deal is going to close.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of people, that's how I mold my people, and that's how we get to the finish line.
Do what you're going to say.
Do what you're going to say, and
over a long period of time, and that's the reputation's built.
That's it, man. There's a lot of agents talk to me like, Jay, please sell one of my listings. I love when I love when I see your offer on one of my listings.
That is awesome.
It takes time to build those kind of reputations, but it's wonderful when you have one.
If you were to give, so that's great advice for buyers.
For a buyer. What
about people thinking about selling their home right now? What would you do in regards to pricing their home, preparing it, marketing it, and in expectations?
Well, that's a great question. Especially in this market today. I mean, you've got to price your home strategically.
Yeah.
People just tend to, they hear the market's bananas and they want to just put a bananas price on these houses.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that. I mean, there is a market value. Number one. Yeah, if we can find a buyer for your house, that's wonderful. But also remember that you have to also get the bank. They're going to come in and appraise the property. If the people are going for financing, they're going to send the bank in to appraise the property, and we have to justify the selling price to the lender as well. So you can't just throw these numbers out there that are just, telephone book numbers and just expect them to. So again, I'd price my house competitively but realistically. Have some data behind you.
Yep.
Explain to people why your house is priced the way it is.
Are you pricing slightly below value to get more people through the door?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. Some people do.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into that. I like trying to price houses competitively, but again, I like to back them up with data. Again, if somebody's going to come to me and say, Jay, why did you price your house that way? I can explain to them why. And people will, again, we do get into bidding wars constantly, and they will sometimes bid these houses up.
Yeah.
But again, my philosophy is to price them properly. And if somebody wants to pay more than the way I priced it, which they do many times, that's up to them.
Gotcha. Now that we talked about pricing your home, what about now actually preparing your home for sale? What do you need to do at that point?
Again, people, I always tell people to get your house ready for sale. And that would mean just doing a real thorough cleaning of your property. Sometimes throwing a fresh coat of paint on it doesn't help.
Yep.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
What other things
Staging,
are there?
you talked about?
Staging your home, of course. Staging your home and, just getting it looking sparkly
clean. It probably.
Listen, man, selling your house is not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's an inconvenient process to go through. You've got people that want to show your house right when you want to have dinner.
Yeah.
So now you got to pack up. I remember when my wife and I had our house on the market years ago. I mean, my wife was changing a diaper in the house and, had to throw it out. Somebody called and said they wanted to be at our house in 10 minutes. We literally,
oh my gosh.
She tucked the diaper under her arm and we ran out the garage door, past the buyers in the driveway. And, and sure enough, those were the people that bought our house.
Wow.
But you have to have that flexibility, understand that it's going to be inconvenient for a short time, but the more you can make your house, accessible.
Yeah.
And with less restrictions you put on the showings, the better off we are because we'll get it done that much quicker.
That's a great point.
Yeah, we'll get it done quick if we can be, less restrictions.
And then in regards to marketing it in this market, what would you do for that? Because that's important. You got to market it the right way, right?
Marketing is something that I've always been into, man, since like 1989. I consider myself one of the pioneers in marketing, and I also consider myself, because if I don't consider myself, I don't know who will.
I love it.
One of the best marketers out there right now. One of the best marketers. Because selling is convincing.
Yeah.
And when I was a young guy, I was a seller. I was selling, I was convincing. But marketing is attracting. And there's a fine line between the two. And I've become a marketer. I've learned how to attract home buyers to my home sellers. And there's a very unique and a way to do that. Social media right now is amazing. I love doing these. We've got our boy Shane.
You're doing photography,
and
videos.
He's a professional videographer who does amazing videos of my properties. I load those up on YouTube. By the way, my YouTube account, Jay Cannone, Fairfield County Real Estate, I have 179 videos uploaded onto my YouTube account.
Wow.
But we take those videos of the homes, and I've got 6,000-7,000 people that have actually viewed the videos. It's a personal way to look at a house. And I also like to get personal with those videos and talk about the house and the rooms that the people loved and why they loved them. Talk about it. There's a story. Every house has a story, and the way the family was raised in it. And I love to talk about that in my videos.
I think
Get personal.
Yeah, I think when you can show that too with a video walkthrough instead of just telling somebody, makes a big difference.
It's a huge difference. My people tell me all the time how much they love my videos. And yeah, so if you're a home seller and if you want a Jay Cannone video, check them out on YouTube.
That's a good place to start.
Because listen, man, I put up a video almost every other day. It's just a way for me to add value to the marketplace and to help people. And that's what my videos are. They're short, educational videos. I'm sure you've seen them. I put them out there almost every other day.
Yeah.
And again, they're just there to help people and answer questions and add value. That's all.
If you're talking to someone that might be thinking about selling their home in the next 6 to 12 months, right? We're in June right now.
Okay.
So let's say they know they want to sell, but they're not quite there yet, but they will be in the future. Would you recommend them start taking photos this summer so that if they want to list in the winter?
100%. I do that. I do that quite often, especially if I know somebody's ready to put their house on the market in February or March.
Yep.
What I'll do is, as a matter of fact, Shane and I did a property.
No way.
Yeah. We were up there with the drone flying right in autumn, right when the leaves were turning. And we got some beautiful pictures of a gorgeous house in Trumbull.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we ended up putting the house on the market in March or February when there was snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So we had the mixture of the fall pictures and the drone video with the winter pictures with the snow, and it was really cool. So people had a perspective. They could see what it's going to look like in the summer, fall, and in the winter. It was beautiful.
That's awesome. And I think part of that is just, for clients and people that want to work with you and want to sell their home, to reach out early, start having that conversation, because it's not like a boom, let's sell your house tomorrow. It takes time to plan that.
Yeah.
That's important.
It is important. Very important. Also people have to understand that everybody has a budget, man. Not everybody has all these unlimited funds.
Yep.
So you got to work within your budget. People today, especially the buyers, they want the houses that are in move-in condition, they sell for a premium. The buyers today don't want to go in there and do major renovations. They really don't. So the houses that are in really good condition, move-in condition, are the ones that are selling for a premium. So, hey, a fresh coat of paint, if you can afford to have the carpets removed, if you have hardwood floors under there, rip up those old carpets and, reshine or sand down those hardwood floors.
Yep.
Update your kitchen if you can, put some new granite or quartz countertops, update your appliances to maybe some stainless steel, tile your backsplashes, modernize some of your fixtures in the house, modernize some of your bathrooms with new fixtures and maybe a toilet, faucets. There's things you can do to modernize your house without really spending an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring back they'll bring back money tenfold for you. And again, these are all things that we can discuss as home sellers. As I go to their house and I look at it and I analyze what we can do. So again, my goal is to get top dollar for my home sellers.
Yeah.
That's my goal. As well as, helping them with their needs and their wants, of course, but it's to get top dollar. And I'm there to help them and show them what they can do and again, within their budget.
I think that's the important part. It's top dollar within their budget.
Within their budget.
And also with how much headache they can, or how much they can handle.
Listen, man, last night I was on that house, like I told you, I listed on Main Street. That was last night. And when I went in there, she was like all nervous about her son and all of his clutter in the basement. And, she wanted, and it was my idea because she had a little bit of carpentry around the house that was rotted and things. And I said, listen, man, why don't we get a handyman over here? It's not a big deal. Let's just get a couple of these wood pieces, some trim, some balusters outside on your deck, and she was like, well, I said, but listen, I'm not here to stress you out. If you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. Because like I said, I mean, first impressions matter. I just wanted, I just wanted the house to look as good as it could. But again, are people not going to buy her house because there was a piece of rotted trim on the back porch? No. that's not going to be the reason why somebody wouldn't buy her house.
Yeah.
People are more they're looking at the overall condition, they're looking at the room sizes, the flow, the bedrooms, the baths, the location. There's a lot more to go into it.
Yeah.
Not just the rotted baluster on the back porch. Oh, and then her son walked in. Her son was an avid collector of Star Wars memorabilia.
Yeah.
And her son walked in, and she was so worried about what she was going to do with this finished basement full of boxes of memorabilia. And her son came home, and he said, "Oh, Mom," he goes, "I could just move that to my wife's parents' house this weekend. Don't worry about it. I'll get everything out." But she was so worried about it. And then her son just walks in and goes, "Mom, by the end of the weekend, it'll all be gone." I was like, "Thank you." It was just one thing she was stressing over that it just fell into place so easily.
Yeah.
The son was so nice to come home and say, "Mom, I'll take care of everything."
Sometimes the things you worry about, you think worst case outcome.
Yeah.
And it's really not that big of a deal.
No, it's not that big of a deal.
This was a blast.
It was great, man. One thing I'm enjoying right now too is I'm working with my wife Stephanie. We love being together, and now that the kids are grown, she's right by my side, and she's coming with me on all my listing appointments now.
Unbelievable.
It's dynamite. We really had she adds a lot to my business too. She's got again, living with me since we were 14 years old, going dating, but ever since we've been living together, she knows real estate probably better than 90% of the brokers that are running around out there right now.
Honestly, I was listening to some of the things that were being said from you earlier, Steph. I was like, wow, like she knows the market. She's hitting things like...
No, she's great.
I could get her on the podcast.
Listen, she's got some strengths that make up for my weaknesses, and we make a great team together.
That is awesome.
So we're working tight together, and people are really enjoying it, and they're really...
Fantastic.
They're liking it. But yeah, man, this has been great. We did our first podcast 1 year ago.
Crazy.
Almost to the day.
Hey, this wasn't planned for that.
It wasn't planned, and you had said, "Why don't we just reconvene or do this again in 1 year from now?"
Yeah.
And here we are.
Unbelievable.
It was awesome.
It was a blast.
Man. Yeah, it was great, Gaetano.
Yep. Shane, thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Yep. And a shout out, by the way, the hair's looking great to Tony Provenzano.
Tony Pro.
For trimming that up. So
Paul's down Trumbull Center.
There we go.
He's awesome.
It was a blast. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, G.